Okay, so welcome, Katie, to this afternoon session. Thanks for joining us, and let's just dive straight into the lesson, shall we? Because we said you said you've got short time, so just going to share my screen. We'll have a look at the lesson, and now there we go. And also today's quote. So let's have a quick look at today's quote. Can you see the screen okay?
Yeah, perfect.
So do you want to read that quote?
Yeah. Strange. It's a hard word for me to speak. To say. Huh?
Yeah. It's got
Say
a G and a T. A G and a TH. Strength.
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 Strength. I feel like I'm a child again. Strength.
Yeah. You're doing pretty well for being your second language. So.
Strength.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, strength is derived from unity. The range of our collective vision is far greater when individual insights become one. Yeah.
And it was actually said by a guy called Andrew Carnegie, who was an American industrialist. But it could have been said by a spiritual teacher. So it just goes to show you that the truth can come through any channel. The range of our collective vision is far greater when individual insights become one. And that is a direct pointer or direct reinforcement of today's lesson, which is all about I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. So in other words, we share perception, we share vision, collective vision.
Where did you get these photos?
I get them on this free sites that allow you to get royalty-free images. Unsplash and Pixels I use for support. Unsplash.com mostly. And you can just go and you put in a search phrase and then stuff comes and you go, okay, that kind of works. They're all looking the same place, so it's not always actually easy to symbolize these ideas because they're conceptual ideas. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing, but I usually manage one way or another to get the photo that sort of relates. Okay, so I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. So let's dive into the lesson and see what Jesus has to say about this one. Do you want to read number 1?
Yeah. The idea for today is another step in learning that the thoughts which give rise to what you see are never neutral or unimportant. It also emphasizes the idea that minds are joined, which will be given increasing stress later on.
Okay. Does both of those make sense to you?
Yeah.
So they're never neutral or unimportant, which is the previous 2 lessons about neutral seeing and neutral thoughts. And it emphasized the idea that minds are joined. In other words, we share the domain of mind. In fact, we are one, and there's really only one mind, and that's going to be given increasing stress later on. Okay, and then saying today's idea does not refer to what you see as much as to how you see it. Okay, so it's all about how you perceive. So it's emphasizing this aspect of your perception. So it's pretty short and sweet today, very short lesson. So I guess that suits the time available. So shall I take you into a meditation?
Yeah.
Okay, so just sitting comfortably, your feet shoulder width apart.
But I didn't read number 2.
I just read it. If you want to read it, you can. Yeah? Do you want to read number 2?
And also we didn't read. Did you also read 3?
No, I'm going to guide you through it in practice.
Okay. It's like,
So
yeah.
it's all practice. It's like do it in a meditation. So we'll start off with some open-eyed practice, then we'll go into meditation, then we'll do it at the end of the meditation again.
Okay, yeah, we'll do it.
Okay, happy. All right, so put yourself on mute. Great. Sitting comfortably, feet shoulder width apart, back straight. Close your eyes. And just take a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clench the sphincter muscle, that's the muscle we use to lock the energy in and stop the flow of urine out. Locks the energy in. So you might feel a subtle rising up of warm tingling energy, rising up the spine, into your heart center. One hand on your heart, connecting with your heart space. Just bring your attention into the present moment. And then draw the energy all the way up the spine, into the crown of your head, pausing at the top of the inhale. Take another sip of air and smile. So just briefly open your eyes now. Remind yourself that I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see, and just look around you and apply it to whatever you see outside of you. Just randomly to whatever you happen to see. And now close your eyes again and apply it to what you see within. So whatever the thoughts are, this is your inner seeing. So remind yourself, I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see, and just name whatever the thought is. It might be about a person, an object, a place, a circumstance, an event, situation in your life. And just say as you consider this, I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see whatever. And to help you to let it go, exhale out through your mouth and just release. Let it go. The help of your breath, exhaling out the nothingness that it really is. So putting the lower stomach into the spine, expelling the last remaining air out. And I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. Just say that very slowly and deliberately to yourself. I'm not alone experiencing the effects of my seeing. And so just sinking in a few minutes of silence, just breathing in and out through your nose, noticing how stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Scanning your mind, noticing any thoughts and emotions going on. Whatever the thought is, whatever the emotion is, just apply today's idea. So I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see whatever it is, whoever it is, whatever the situation is. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see the specific situation, because I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. It's a general statement, because there is only one mind in truth. So how can you be alone as a separate mind when there is really only one mind? And so if you can really let go of your judgmental mind, the seemingly separate mind, you find that this idea, I'm not alone experiencing the effects of my seeing, makes perfect sense. So just feel it. Close your eyes and sink inwards, breathing in and out through your nose. Just observe the air flowing into the nostrils and then out of the nostrils. Just breathing in, breathing out. And just sinking inwards. So nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. The next few minutes, just breathe. Nice deep, slow, rhythmical breaths in and out through your nose. Relax, be still. Let the breath take you deeper into your mind, into the still, calm, peaceful state of mind. In which you know, not intellectually but experientially, that minds are joined. So you are not alone in experiencing the effects of your seeing. Say that one more time as an invitation for this awareness of the one mind we share to arise in your mind very strongly. Say, I'm not alone experiencing the effects of how I see anything. I'm not alone experiencing the effects of my seeing. And so just sinking inwards, going inwards into the depth of your being, the essence of who you are. Just arising from the stillness in your mind. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. The next few minutes, just breathe, relax, be still, and go within, sink inward to the peace of God that passes all understanding. For the next few minutes of deep silence, just surrender to this deep peace in your mind. And if any thoughts arise in your mind, just apply today's idea to them. So I'm not alone experiencing the effects of how I see whatever it is, whoever it is. And if you notice any kind of negative thought or emotion, just release it with the breeze of your breath. Exhale. Imagine it's just like a cloud pattern drifting by. Just letting it all go. So nothingness that it really is. Going into the clear blue sky beyond the clouds, which is one sky. So it's one mind, one eternal mind that you share, and this peace is really the essence of this mind. It's the essence of all minds. Some of them have just forgotten that, but you're remembering today that you're not alone in experiencing the effects of your perceptions, of how you see. So it is said and so it is done. And sink back inwards. Just observe the breath and go more deeply with each breath, deeper and deeper with each breath, into the still, calm, quiet place in your mind, beyond thought, beyond judgments of any kind, beyond this world. It's a place of unity of mind. Thoughts are joined. Just surrender to the stillness completely for the next couple of minutes of deep silence. And so just gently bring your awareness back from this deep place in your mind into an awareness of the body. So noticing the breath and the senses around the breath. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, breathing in, noticing the stomach rising and the chest rising. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Noticing the sensations of the breath in the body. And the energy rising up the spine into your heart center. Put one hand on your heart. Breathe in again. Notice the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils, clenching the sphincter muscle. Feel subtle rising of the life energy or kundalini energy up the spine into the crown of your head. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Again, just check in, scan your mind, notice any thoughts, any emotions going on, particularly anything that feels at all negative, limiting, contracted, constricting, and just blow those away. The breeze of your breath, blowing them away into the nothingness they really are, reminding yourself that I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see whatever it is. On the count of 2, just notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling and touching with your hands. There's a subtle flow of air on your skin. Noticing any smell in your nose, any taste in your mouth. Noticing what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, surrendered state of mind. Notice the quietness and the peace that's still there even as you come back into sense perceptions. And on the count of 3, open your eyes. So just look around, take a minute just to practice today's exercise one more time. So just look about you, select whatever subjects for application of the idea for today as randomly as possible. So whatever you happen to see, that's a suitable subject. As your eyes rest on it, say, I am not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see the wall, for instance, or I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see this table, not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see this computer. Do that for about half a dozen objects, just very casually. Don't linger for too long on each one, just a few seconds on each one, move on to the next one. Notice how you're feeling as you do this. And just remind yourself to end the practice period that I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing, because minds are joined. So this is an idea that as we go along, Jesus says, we'll be given increasing stress later on in the course. So that brings us to the end of the meditation. So thank you, Kati. You said you had to go, so Elaine's just dropped in.
It's late.
Only an hour. It's okay. Well, Kati was off.
But you know what? It shows good intent.
Yeah, better late than never. So that's good.
Definitely.
And fortunately, I'm fairly relaxed about this. I've been to some workshops where it'd be like, you'd be in big trouble if you're late.
No, but you know
what?
1
minute late.
You chase people away. Honestly, I would be chased away. And I think most of us, we have to take responsibility for ourselves and actually know that it's what we got to do. And I think you let us do that. So try our best.
It's got to fit
We
in.
wouldn't have signed up for this course if there wasn't some commitment.
Yeah.
And our human failings lead us to come late and to not arise, and instance, and all this kind of thing,
Yeah.
But it's not a reason, if the instructor leads you to believe that that's a good reason to give up and rather not come at all, then you won't. And that will be the end of the story.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, how are you, Elaine?
Thank you, and bye-bye.
Have you got to go,
Katie.
Katie? Yeah, okay.
I need
Thanks,
to go.
Katie.
Katie, you know
Are you
what?
joining tonight?
Yeah.
You'll join us tonight. Okay.
Okay,
Cool.
Bye.
We won't have a power cut tonight. Sorry about last night, but power was out and then the mobile signal went down. It was like, it's not going to happen. No internet, so apologies for that. But it shouldn't happen again tonight. So see you a bit later.
Yeah, I just want to say, Katie, I did just get your message now because I've been out the whole morning. And I'm preparing for a whole week away, going camping, and it's quite a mission, everything that needs to be gotten together and all that. So it's just a bit difficult now. But I just need to speak to John as well, because we need to do some coaching and catching up and my packing and my...
Yeah, well, I'm glad you made contact because you're each other's buddies now, so that's good.
Yeah, I really would like to chat, and it's going to be a lot easier after a week passes where I may not be available.
Yeah, I would. Okay, yeah. Just let me know because I really have to go now. So bye.
Okay. All right. Good. Cheers.
Okay. Cheers, Katie.
Bye. I will be. Ciao.
Okay. So yeah, we can continue. I've got a hard stop at about 25 past 4 because I've got a meeting at 4:30 about the Lucitosaurus stuff, which is interesting. But let's.
What stuff? That's a
tool. The investment stuff that we've been speaking about.
Yeah.
That's
very interesting to listen to people on crypto as well. I do listen to that from time to time. And I think there is a space there, but should you need to know that you're dealing with somebody that really knows what's going on, hey? With all these different cryptos and the different categories of cryptos and, which ones, but I wouldn't go for it unless somebody could really convince me that they are quite an expert. I don't know if anybody's really in it. I don't know. I just don't know enough about it, but I do believe in that space though.
Yeah, I know someone in the UK, so perhaps I'll speak to him.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's focus on.
I think it would be nice for you to offer it as an option if you are going to be in this field, of offering people alternatives to mainstream investment.
Yeah, there's a fund in Australia actually. I was going to have a meeting with them, but it never happened. So maybe I must reach out to them again. Anyway, let's.
You do people that are just in the know in certain fields of life. You do, and it's a very thin layer, but you actually do, and they are very hard to find. But I do believe that they do exist.
Yeah, well, there's as I said, there's a fund. I'll reach out to the guy and ask him I need to meet with him first and so on, but. No, there are funds. Okay, just start the recording again. So, any thoughts on today's lesson? Have you read it?
I think I got quite a weak signal here. I'm not out, but you've actually. I'm not seeing your picture. Is that because of the signal?
No, there we go. Is that better?
I can't see you.
Yes, sorry.
I'm only getting the image for
my videos. Because my videos.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go. So a very simple, short lesson today. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing, which is really saying that there's only one mind. That's what this is implying.
I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. So we're all experiencing the effects of our seeing in a similar sort of way. Not identical, but similar.
Well, it's saying minds are shared. There's one mind. So if I perceive in a certain way, then I'm not alone in that. And it's quite a nice reminder that, I think, like, let's say I'm misperceiving, I'm angry, I'm upset, that I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of this, right? This goes into the quantum field, because the quantum field is just really saying there's one mind. It goes into that mind and it affects everyone because we're all connected in that mind.
What was so interesting as well, and I don't know if you listened to that thing, only you sent it, man. You sent it to me, Rupert Sheldrake.
Yes.
And he spoke about that experiment. How phenomenal is that? When you teach something that the rats all over the world learn much faster. And I think that really, for example.
Yeah, it's referred to as the 100 monkey syndrome. So there's other experiments. They've seen experiments with observing, say, monkeys, and so monkeys on different islands in the Pacific and stuff. So they're separated by bodies of water that are tens of miles long. So there's no way physically that the information could transmit, and the monkeys can't swim miles. It's not like one monkey's swum from one island to another. They pretty much on the islands, but they observed that if monkey a certain behavior started to occur on one island, then it would propagate to the other islands very quickly. And they couldn't explain it other than by a mental transmission, like some kind of telepathic communication. Which, if you understand the nature of mind and what's now been termed in scientific terms, Rupert Sheldrake calls it morphic resonance. It's like the idea that there's one mind, right? And that so that mind has a frequency, and that every species is tapped into that mind, right? Like the species shares that mind, so it's like a collective mind. And so if a part of the mind does that, then the other part of the mind, which is really one mind, can actually learn from that, even though it's not happening in the physical. You see, the belief that that's not possible is a belief in Flatland, because these scientific materialists, as he calls them, have they've denied that mind is primary. And they've gone, no, actually, this is what's primary instead. You see?
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
It's
just very exciting.
Let me just open.
If we can just stop our egos from trying to convince us of all sorts of crap, and we can open up to these things.
And the truth is, it's not true. That's the thing. Like science actually shows that there is a connection between the individual. These quadrants are connected, and there's scientific evidence to show that. And what I think Rupert Sheldrake's problem was that science is ignoring the evidence. And so someone like him starts to do experiments. He's done lots of experiments and he's shown evidence.
How long has quantum physics first? I remember studying quantum physics when I was studying psychology. This was 40 years ago. I don't even know how old quantum physics was then already.
Yeah, it was already 60 years then, 40 years ago. It's been around since the 1920s. So it's 100
when are we
years.
going to wake up? So there's been more and more experiments, more and more evidence. So when are we going to wake up?
Well, because the established paradigm remains in people's minds, and it's based on their ego. You see, the reason why scientists have resistance to the idea that everything's mind is that the ego is obsessed with believing that it's a body.
Yeah, it's the ego.
So they're not objective. Scientists say, "Oh no, I'm objective." No, you're not objective. You've got an ego. Clearly, you're not objective if you've got an ego. Some very big egos in the scientific world, as in other domains. You know, I'm right, and you know, I'm all powerful. I'm some kind of scientific god, and you know, I don't want to be questioned. So if someone like Rupert Sheldrake comes along and questions it, then they ban his talk, which is so interesting. And you know, they're supposed to be. I mean, did you in the beginning of the talk? Did you see what they said? You know, TEDx committed to free and fair inquiry, or it's free and fair scientific inquiry, or something. I'm going, well, and then you ban the talk. You know, it's a total contradiction.
No, you know, I don't know. I didn't know that TED Talks were. It was really quite a shock to find that they were also censoring this sort of thing. And you know, the thing is that the guy is so level-headed and conservative.
No,
he's not way out. He's just conservative. No. He's just like, look, this is just the way it is. I mean, it's not in my opinion. It's not an opinion. There's nothing airy-fairy or esoteric about him.
Yeah, but it challenges
from the voice of science.
As he says, what science has become is a religion. It's the modern-day religion that is believed in by the majority of people now in the world. In the Western world, certainly. They believe in the scientific materialist paradigm, dogma, call it whatever you want, blindly. That yeah, the world is flat. You know, this is what's true. What you can see and feel and measure and touch, what you can perceive with your physical senses is what's true, and nothing else is true. So
what
it's
do you
a paradigm.
Flat Earth theory.
Well, it's called Flatland. So Ken Wilber, who came up with this model, calls this worldview Flatland, because you're basically saying that this world is the only dimension, right? There's no hidden dimension. There's no depth to that. It just is what it is, right? Flatland. We live in Flatland, and it's equivalent to, you know, flat earthers. I mean, it's a ridiculous belief. Doesn't make any sense. The evidence doesn't support it anymore. And yet people continue to believe in it because it's a paradigm, it's a dogma, and that was this whole thing. You're saying science.
People continue to believe in what?
They continue to believe in this paradigm, scientific materialism.
Do you think that this flat Earth theory has some validity? Because I really know nothing about it. I'm just asking.
No, I don't think it does. I mean, the evidence shows very clearly. I mean, they've got things in orbit. They've got satellites in orbit, orbiting the Earth. So how would that work if it's a flat Earth? I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all. So, but what he's calling about, Ken Wilber just uses the term flatland to denote this very flat. It's just like, this is it, right? Flatland, this is it. The material world is it. There's nothing else. That's flatland, and that's a dogma. That's a belief. And science, what Rupert Sheldrake was saying is that this is no longer science. This is just a dogma, and it's a belief that actually is not supported by the evidence, because there's a lot of evidence that supports the idea that, you know, there's mind determines things, that there is this interior domain that is causative, and the scientists in their dogmatic worldview deny the evidence because they want to continue believing in this dogma, which is exactly the same as any religious dogma. You know, scientists would challenge the religion and say, but you need to follow the scientific method. You know, this isn't scientific, and yet they're not following their own advice because they believe in a dogma and they're not accepting the evidence that counters the dogma, which is why they banned his talk. Yeah, interesting. And that's exactly what happened 500 years ago, when the scientific paradigm was starting to rise up and people were saying, we need to question the dogma of the church. They banned it. They didn't want it. They were like, no, we don't want to hear this. So we're going to ban it. We're going to, you know, we're going to try and suppress it as much as possible. And obviously they couldn't, because there's truth there. You know, and so it's the same way. Science now needs to evolve beyond the paradigm and the dogma to like accepting, look, yes, there's evidence. Therefore, our science, our dogma doesn't, if it doesn't match the evidence, then we need a new theory. We need.
But it is surprising that scientists, okay, who are not businessmen, they're scientists. All right, they're coming from a very different worldview to economists and business.
Well, they're not actually. That's
aspect of them.
They're not. It's the same worldview.
Well, I just don't understand why scientists would accept, okay, I'm talking about credible world leaders in science would accept that his talk was banned, that they wouldn't stand up and say, hey, no, guys, no, really, in the name of science, we cannot ban that talk because there's, you know, this is based on scientific evidence, what he said. So why are his colleagues, like world leaders in science, respected people, not standing up?
Because they have a dogma and they're protecting the dogma. And the dogma is scientific materialism and the world is flatland, and he's challenging that, and they don't like that because that's what they believe.
Science
and
is
also,
supporting, but the science is supporting the challenge. It's science.
Yeah, but science has been corrupted by economics. Don't think these two are separate. Because
so do you think that it is the economic aspect that has...
because this worldview...
There's science, because like he actually says in his talk as well, is that you must understand that scientific organizations as such are now owned by business and in industry.
Yes.
So that's really where the problem is coming in, is that scientists don't have a voice. They don't have a voice.
And they are corrupted because who's funding it? You know, who funds TED?
So it comes down to
economics.
It actually comes down to the COVID story, in fact. Same story.
It's the same thing. Yeah, there's an agenda. And so, you know, pure scientific inquiry would be, you know, Rupert Sheldrake is a pure scientist. It's like, okay, well, let's just look at the evidence. And if the evidence is showing something, then we need to adapt our theories to meet the evidence. That's what good science is.
But apparently he really is really feathers, though. Apparently. He really is making, he's causing quite a lot of shit.
Yeah, because he's ruffling the entire established order, the entire scientific establishment believe in this worldview of scientific materialism, and he's saying that's wrong. Clearly, the evidence is showing that you're believing in a dogma, and he's criticizing him. And then Ted say, "Oh, well, it's because you know he's going to pseudoscience." Well, who's deciding on what pseudoscience? Isn't that interesting? Now, what pseudoscience is? You have a dogma and you don't take into account evidence because it denies your dogma. That's pseudoscience. That's not science. The scientific method is take into account what you've observed, and then you come up with a theory accordingly. That's how science has evolved. So now it's stagnating in this scientific materialist worldview. He's criticizing it, and they're banning his talk because they don't like being criticized. That's the real reason why they banned his talk.
But who's they? It's not the scientists actually that are being criticized. It's something to do with the association with the economic world. They're being criticized, not the scientists.
No,
I mean, any scientists
are no longer scientists, you see. If you don't follow your own scientific method of inquiry and observation, and then creating theories that match the observations, then that's not good science anymore. And so basically he's saying you're dogmatic. It's like you're blinded by your own dogma, and you're not good scientists anymore. And of course they don't like it. The egos don't like that. So instead of accepting that maybe what he's saying has validity and looking at themselves and saying, okay, well, maybe he's right. Maybe we need to change. Maybe we need to accept this evidence, and we need to come up with some new theories to evolve our science. They go, no, because we want to believe in what we want to believe in. So let's deny the evidence, which is just poor science. And that's why they banned the talk. You know, and there are interests. People say, oh, well, it's science. No, it's no longer science. If you're being funded by interests that have an economic agenda, and they are dictating how your scientific inquiry should go and what results you should get, and you know whether you accept certain evidence or not, that's not independent anymore. You are corrupted. And that's what's happened. And there's a huge economic agenda behind this materialist worldview, because if you convince people that the world really is flat and that only flatland exists, what you do is you deny their right, you deny their capability of making their own decisions, making their own choices and their own decisions. So it's a worldview.
The flat earth theory goes together with the conspiracy theorists, doesn't it? Where does this flat earth bullshit come from?
No, okay, well, let's be careful. So flat Earth, I mean, they kind of a fringe. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about flat
You're
land.
talking about flat land. You're talking
Flat
about
land, which
material.
is a scientific materialist worldview that really only these exterior domains exist. That's flatland. Okay, so the
nothing to do
interior
with flat
domain,
Earth.
eh? Nothing to do with flat Earth. No, I mean the flat Earth is it's a fringe theory, and we won't even go there because there's no credibility to it. But this flatland worldview is the dominant scientific and economic paradigm of the world, and we're seeing it play out in this COVID pandemic in a strong way. The only way that they've managed to convince people to take their vaccine and follow all of their other recommendations is because they've convinced people that flatland is real, that only the external domains are real, and therefore you need to respond. You know, they're not taking into account of taking account of the fact, scientifically proven fact now, that your mind can create your sickness or health. Absolutely, that has been shown. So maybe this has less to do with the virus and more to do with your mind making you sick. That's not a good message. They don't want that message out there. They want a message, no, it is the virus, this is the cause, and we've got the solution. You see, so there's a business model, there's an agenda behind the flatland worldview, and that's why that's perpetuated.
Yeah, it's quite unbelievable. It really is. When you listen to a guy level-headed as that man, he speaks very well. And, what is there to dispute, really?
Well, all you can do is ban his talk. See, this is what the ego does. No, we won't we'll suppress the information. We won't let it get out there because it's dangerous. Dangerous to what? It's dangerous to the existing paradigm. The worldview of scientific materialism. That's what it's dangerous.
It's quite interesting that you can get it on Google. Because why have Google not banned the talk? I mean, we know the power.
Well, because, I mean, then, like, how do you justify banning that?
Well, if Ted can, why can't Google? Google have banned many.
They could, but because they've got broader policies. YouTube policies are broader. They, you have to have like done hate speech, or I mean they did with COVID. You could say stuff about COVID and then they would take your video down. So but that's an example of, again, that's not rational. That's because there's an agenda. And it's like, no, we don't want anyone questioning the COVID dogma.
No, I understand. And I mean it's also,
so they've got broader policies. Presumably, so they haven't banned his talk because there was nothing particularly controversial about what he was saying. It's actually just an alternative worldview.
About to, and they haven't, and I found that interesting that they haven't, because we know what they stand for.
Who? Google?
Yeah, it's interesting that Google have allowed it. They do ban shit, Google, or don't they? Is Google basically
they do, but it has to violate their specific terms because they've got YouTube community terms and stuff, and so obviously that one didn't, and it's
well, I found it very interesting because it's a very profound talk, and it's really a huge, and they've chosen not to ban it. They can ban it. They can find a reason to ban it if they want to.
But then you can appeal. You see, there's an appeal process. And obviously, they need to be seen to be. I mean, how would they justify that? Doesn't violate their terms.
I'm sure there are many things they ban which you could say the same thing, but they ban it anyway.
Yeah, I mean the COVID stuff, they ban it, but then they create a specific policy. They're saying, well, in the interests of public safety, this is banned because it's in the interest of public safety that people should believe the dogma and take their vaccines. So that's the argument. Well, his argument, there's nothing about public safety there. It's like, we're just talking about belief. So that's the justification for the COVID stuff. It's like, okay, well, you're potentially jeopardizing public safety by putting that message out. That's how they justify it. So they have to have some kind of justification.
Well, it's good to know that there is no justification for them to ban his talk. it restores some faith in Google for me.
I think Google like to be seen to be like free and fair speech and stuff. They're not actually, but like if they banned his talk, it would be like crossing the line and saying, well, there's no justification. If you've got publicly published policies, you have to abide by them. He would challenge it and say, well, it doesn't violate your terms of community service, so there's no reason for you to ban it. And if they didn't, okay, well then it becomes quite high profile. He's quite a high profile guy. He'd put it on a blog post. He'd probably be interviewed by people like Russell Brand, this kind of stuff. It gets out there. Like Google have banned it. I mean, Ted, I'm sure Ted are probably regretting that they banned it because it's created so much negative publicity for them. Like, why
they can unban it. They can unban it.
Yeah, but then they'd have to eat humble pie, wouldn't they? Say, oh, we made a mistake. And they don't want to do that because they'd lose face. So that's 10 years ago now, almost. So they just say, okay, we'll just leave it banned. But the interesting thing is who banned it. I mean, as Rupert, I don't know if you read his rebuttal, because they did publish that to their credit. He read on their page their arguments and then his rebuttal.
What?
Who is the scientific board? No, these advisors, so-called scientific advisors, are not being named. Who are they?
Yeah.
And there was no disclosure of that. So who are they? Well, they're the funders of TED. That's who they are. So who funds these kinds of organizations? Who funds TED? That's the interesting thing. Oh, well, I bet you if you follow the money trail, you'll find it leads back to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It leads back to the Rockefellers, to the Rothschilds. That's who funds it. So then, no surprise, because there's a worldview that they're propagating. And that worldview is they don't want people to be empowered and questioning the scientific materialist worldview, because it's a revolution in thinking. This quantum mechanics is a revolution in people's thinking.
A revolution. It's a huge revolution.
Because it's saying you are the creator of your reality. It's not like the outside world is determining your fate. You create this. You make it up as you go along. There is no reality in the absence of observation. So you're not a victim of the world. You are creating it. That puts a whole lot of power in the hands of the individual. If they really believe that, people start to switch on and go, yeah, okay. I don't just have to take whatever the authorities tell me. I can make up my own mind. I'm the creator of my reality. So I decide, do I believe that or not? And so it empowers people. Quantum mechanics empowers people to overthrow the victim mindset of Flatland and say, no.
John, interrupt a sec. You know what? I've got a weak signal here, and it seems to work better on my phone. So I want to connect on my phone. But now, to get the link, do you provide? That's why I've asked you before to send that link. Can I pick the link up on your postings for today on my phone?
Yes.
The Zoom link. Which one? Please see your daily email for the full text of the lesson. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just looking for the link. Where do I find the link?
You read below. There should be.
Because I can never find the link on.
It says go to http theaolg.club. And you should.
Let's
find
just
it
start from today's lesson, where you say good morning. Which one is strength is derived from unity? Is that today's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
From unity.
Actually, I apologize. I didn't put it on the link today.
But I don't think you ever put it on the link. That's why I've asked you to.
I do put it on there normally.
Okay, so just forward me, because I've always battled to find it, which is why.
Well, it's the same. It's the same. You sent it to me on your stream a little while ago.
I know. So I could.
It's where are we?
Send back, but I found it again. I'm not picking it up.
Yeah, I'll find it for you. I have to go in about 10 minutes though.
Oh shit! We should be talking about this other thing.
What I'd suggest is we do a coaching session.
Okay.
a little bit later. So if you want to do it at about 6 o'clock, does that work for you?
Yeah. Okay. I'm just, I'm just helping a friend. She's oh God, she lived with this guy for 10 years. Okay, but she wasn't actually married to him, and she ran this B&B, and very successfully, and like for 10 years. And anyway, she walked away from this relationship, and he wants to give her zip out of it, and etc. etc. And I just told her that I would help. I just told her to put some numbers together and everything from her. She's got all the bank statements, and now she wants me to help her tonight with it. You see, now I'm really torn what to do, because I do want to help her.
Well, why don't you do both? I mean, how long will it take to help her?
Well, I'm just thinking if we meet at about, so maybe we can meet from about 6 to 7. Maybe I can meet with her at 7 o'clock.
No.
Should I say 7?
No. We can do 6 to 7, and then you can go and do your thing, and hopefully you finish in an hour and a half, and you can join the evening session.
Okay.
It's all fine.